Okay, now this is the third demo on the cloud creature. Now that we have started to use the clone stamp to really soften edges, and we're doing it all on the top layer. So that's what our clone stamp is doing. It's all separate from everything else so that we can just use it to soften edges and erase away from it if we need to. And now we've got a lot of different clouds built up that are starting to suggest our creature, but maybe we have a little too much. There's still a few edges I can soften. And so now I'm going to go to an even lower opacity. I'm going to clone stamp with that. I'm using the pressure sensitivity to do scale so I can kind of show some connections on some of these edges. I can even clone stamp the sky in if I want to. Soften it that way. Though erasing away is probably more effective. Now, does the lighting feel consistent across the form? It's getting there. Do the colors feel consistent? They're getting there. There's a little kind of yellowing in some spots. It's a little too pink down here. But just like blending textures, this will do a lot to soften that. I like just that little hint of stormy cloud in the shadows. Show it can be violent. It's a fairly aggressive looking creature. So I like these little wisps floating around. Okay, so now what to do? Now we want to keep our original shape in mind, which is that. And we want to start erasing away. And this is what I recommend. We're going to select around this layer so we get our original shape, and it won't allow us to erase anything within that. And now I'm just going to use my eraser on some of these bigger layers, like here. And I'm going to start cutting it back. Again, 100%, but very soft. And actually, what I'm going to do now is change it from being a size-sensitive brush to being what's called an opacity-sensitive brush. This is the eraser at 100%, but if I press hard, it will erase at 100%. Let me find a good example for you. Like that. But if I press lightly, it'll erase at a lower opacity, like that. And that's a really nice way to control the eraser now, to soften these edges and really let only certain ones show up brightly. And you can do it on a few of the different layers. Just pushing them back just a little bit so that your creature really comes through. Now, if you feel you make a mistake, you can always use your history. I'm letting the computer catch up with me here. And you can go back however many steps you feel you need to. You end up erasing more of something than you want. All right, now I'm going to turn off this back layer. I'm going to save my work because it's working a little slow and it's been a while. And now I'm going to play with the different opacities of the different layers. Let's see how much I need. So this layer, I think I can erase almost entirely. But I won't erase it entirely because all of this cloud texture is helpful. But I don't need much of it, so I'm going to let a lot of it go away. Now when you're cutting through your clouds, you don't want it to look too obvious, like too straight. So let it be kind of dotted interruptions. All right, that's looking pretty good. Now this one I have to be a little bit more careful with. Very soft touch. Just take away some of those edges. Computer seems to be seizing up. Never a good thing. We are running at over 1 gigabyte in data just for this one picture so far, but we're getting there. This layer, maybe I want an even lower opacity on it. So what's great about clouds, they can have a softness that's very believable when they're transparent. Okay, so fairly happy with most of these decisions. I'm going to try breaking this up a little bit in here with my eraser, but I think the edges are strong. So what I'm going to do now is merge them all together. So I'm going to turn off my sky, I'm going to turn off my creature, I'm going to go to the very top layer, I'm going to go to Layer, Merge Visible, and hold down Option. And that will flatten them all onto one individual layer. Then I'll turn on my creature and turn on my sky. And now I have everything in one layer to mess with. And I can go back with my eraser. And I'm going to use things like the smudge tool now to finish it off. And any kind of strange edges that are happening that are too hard or miscolored or ghost from another layer, I can just get rid of with no problems. I think I want to suggest the head a little bit more, so I'm going to take the opacity down on the back arm clouds here. Okay, now the last thing is using a smudge tool. Now that everything is together, let me take the saturation down a little bit overall. especially the yellows. There's all those bright yellows that I just want to kind of kill off a little bit. See if that helped at all. Yes, from that to that. Yeah, a little more believable. Okay. So now the smudge tool, you're going to find it under the blur option. And it looks like a little finger. We're going to use it at a fairly large brush size with a hardness of 0. And a strength, we can try 50 to start, but I'll take this little cloud here as an option, or as an example. So let me zoom in on that. What it's going to do is just as I drag and push along it, it's going to drag the pixels out, just like the wind was shifting that cloud. And it softens it as it goes. It takes quite a bit of processing, so it's always a good idea to save first. But any edges that you're just having trouble with, and they're just a little too sharp, like maybe right here, I'm just going to let the smudge tool kind of soften them and tug at them. Especially these little wisps at the edges, if I want to suggest spikes. So you get to be God, play God here and blow on your cloud. Push and pull it into more believable shapes. Get some distance every once in a while. When you've been looking at it up close for so long, it's hard to tell what's working and what isn't, what's believable and what isn't. Of course, the wind usually pulls clouds side to side, so don't go up and down too much. You can't push them back and forth. And of course, we tend to do things too far, so I have that soft opacity eraser whenever I need it. Kind of knock things back. Don't be shy about using it. Okay, we're almost done. So just to finish it up, I'm going to use clone stamp on the very same layer. Hit some of the areas I think need it. It's kind of camouflaging weak areas. Areas that when I look from a distance, just don't do the job that I want them to do yet.